Every time I get a new follower, I welcome them. I'm talking about my Instagram account. I cannot do that on YouTube. And sometimes when guys hop along, they also ask me if I have any insights into lasting longer. And this wasn't a new request. I've had this request for, quite some time, and I've always carefully stayed away from it because I haven't lived in a man's body, and the only thing that I can give here is some insights based on, discussions that I've had with people with penises. So until I got this question so many times that I said, all right, although I'm reluctant to speak about this because I'm a woman, I am going to approach it. The beautiful thing is that when I approached this topic on my Instagram account, I also used the stories function and pose questions. People can give replies where only I can see them, and then I can share them with others with keeping the anonymity of, the original author. So that's how I got an entire discussion around this topic, and I saw that many more guys are willing to share, but they don't do it on public, so they just are reluctant to give that information somewhere online where their face or name or accounts are exposed. So I'm going to give you today this presentation, first of all with the things that I put there from a coaching perspective. There's a caveat. A coaching perspective is an overall perspective, especially when it's presented here in this video. Every reproductive system has its individuality and every situation is different. So you need to also address this on an individual case. So discern on your own what applies and what doesn't. And then I will also present you some of the stories and the things that guys shared in hopes they might inspire you, in hopes they might determine you to consider these aspects. So first of all, I put 6 steps in my Instagram post. I'm going to link it under the video also. First of all, I encourage guys to break away from FAP. If you're used to masturbating to porn, and if you have a daily or a very frequent practice of doing this, if it's become a habit, you might actually have some serious challenge to relating, getting aroused, and holding an arousal with a real live partner that doesn't look or doesn't act or doesn't sound like the ones that you see in porn. Remember, porn, no matter how well it's done, how realistic it's done, those people are acting in those moments. I mean, it's an act. So keep that in mind. When you're in the habit of masturbating yourself to porn, then you're cutting away the real possibility to interact with somebody who might not always be ready or willing or screaming or whatever, orgasming as you see in porn. So you need to be able to gradually break away from that, disrupt that habit, and get accustomed to interact with people, or heck, even with just yourself, first of all. Could you be able to masturbate by yourself without watching porn? That might be a challenge for you. The second thing that I wrote there was aroused body awareness. This is important for any guy that wants to train himself to last longer. You have to be able to spot when things are getting extremely intense. You have to be able to spot this in good time so that you can slow down and you can prevent, if sperm gets out of your testicles, so it's already secreted and it's on the pathway, stopping it is not, it's already out of there. And the only thing that you can do is stop from bringing it out in a certain moment when you're interacting with a partner. But that doesn't mean that it's healthy what you're doing, and you can cause your body to go through impotence, erectile dysfunction, so you can get premature ejaculation also. So please consider that you need aroused body awareness so that you can slow down before the sperm gets out of your testicles and it's on the pathway. What does that mean? for many guys, but remember this is an overall presentation, there's this scale that helps them from 1 to 10. 1 being not aroused, just a normal state, 10 being ejaculation. And many guys who use this system, they would always say that a 7 is probably your critical point, and that when you're at about a 7 and they evaluate it for themselves, they take deep breaths, they slow down, they pause a bit so that they can, preserve. 8, 9, and 10 are usually more and more intense, and it's a little hard to control yourself in that moment. With this step, aroused body awareness, I definitely encourage guys to work with other guys. No woman can help you here, even if she's trained and everything, in the way that a guy could, because she doesn't have the internal experience. And I feel that with the risks of premature ejaculation, erectile dysfunction, impotence, I feel that it's too much of a risk to work with. If you can work with a man, it's better. It's too much of a risk to skip this step, from my perspective. The third thing is pelvic floor strength. And when I say strength, I don't mean tension. Those are two things that we need to separate. In order to control yourself and prolong your erection, you need to squeeze every now and then your pelvic floor. If it's not strong enough, it can handle more squeezes. And when I say more squeezes, this depends on your body and on the amount of time from where you're, leaving, meaning normally you would last, let's say, a few minutes, and you want to make it to an hour. Okay, in that interval, you're going to have to squeeze every now and then your muscles. And if you're not toned, fit, it might be a challenge. You might actually get exhausted. I've seen this also with women, so this is not just the case of men. Women that haven't trained their pelvic floor. Squeezes, basic squeezes. So consider your pelvic floor strength as a part of your lasting longer recipe, but not tension. And how can you assess if you have pelvic floor tension? If you touch your perineum, that's the patch of muscle between your scrotum and your anus, and if you gently push it and feel pain, that means that muscle is rigid because it's stored tension for whatever reason, and that tension can be released with proper pelvic floor massage, essentially. And that needs to be worked on. So strength is not the equivalent of tension. The fourth thing is breath work. Breath is extremely important in ensuring that the aroused state flows in, so your erotic energy flows in the rest of your body. It doesn't just stay situated in your groin. When it does that, you tend to not be able to carry too much, so you ejaculate. So breath is definitely important. It's for both, so men and women alike. If you want to last longer, if you want to feel more intensely, you need to be able to breathe. So when I say be able, I say not think it's weird. Pay attention to what happens with your breath during sex, during arousal, and also being able to breathe deeper. Because some people, whenever I invite them, especially in coaching or in group events, when I do just basic breathing exercises, after 10, deep breaths, some people are exhausted already, or they get dizzy because their brain is just getting more oxygen than it usually gets with a very superficial or shallow breath, and they just, when you're dizzy, what aroused state? You're dizzy. You can't focus on anything else, and you don't want to get dizzy when you're intimate with somebody. So breath work and going to a breath work facilitator might be a good tool for you, guy or gal. But for lasting longer, yes, breath work is something to consider. The fifth thing is slowcore thrusting. So what I mean by this is if you're engaging with somebody, so you're penetrating somebody, and you're thrusting really intensely, your body is not going to be able to hold it. You need to keep a certain rhythm much slower in order to keep arousal and not go overboard. And it's the same if your partner, so your woman, or if it's a guy and whatever he is doing, if they move really fast, you're not going to be able to resist that for too long. Anybody that wants to last longer knows this. You need to decrease the intensity, the rhythm, the speed. It just got to go down. Otherwise, with all the training you want in the world, it's overstimulation, so you're going to go out. And the last thing is a matching partner. I'm going to point this out. If your partner is not in the same mind shift as you are when it comes to sexuality, maybe they like crazy things, maybe they like it fast and hot, then you're not going to be able to hold it much longer because they won't be there with you. They won't breathe with you. They won't have patience with you. They'll be annoyed at that and so on. So, and I need to point this one out. You can't train somebody who doesn't really want it or doesn't really enjoy it that way to go for this type of approach in sexuality. So this is an entire mind shift, not just for you, but also for your partner, potentially. And sometimes, because I did work in coaching with people whose partners weren't interested in slower rhythms, lasting longer, experiencing the breathing and all the other exercises. They just wanted it fast and that was it. Those people, you can't change your partner's perspective. That's not what love relationships are about. If they want to change, if they understand your desire or your need or your wish, and they go with you in that journey, awesome. If they do not, you can't change them. So a matching partner is definitely a very important thing, just like all the others, to consider. And now, let's see for what the guys shared. So I asked an open-ended question in the stories. Guys, would you share any experiences with lasting longer? And I got some answers. Some are changing positions, pacing the strokes, changing from cunnilingus to penetration, standing. Also, breathing might help. Another answer, I have been learning to pay attention to pleasure building up in my pelvic area and to nudge it upward, which makes me tingle in the whole body. Another answer, my partner and I have a very good dynamic and she orgasms very easily. And from point onward, she just wants to finish me off because she gets off on that too. Another story, yes, if the frequency is regular, then definitely possible. When I'm about to come, I either change position or lick her pussy cream for a minute. Here's another one. Define quote-unquote long. It's usually 30 minutes to an hour. Any less, and it's not that satisfying, the longer the build-up, of course, the more powerful the release. Another one. Depends on several factors in my case, and oral sex before makes it last a lot more. Another answer. Slow the strokes down and kiss her. Find someone you won't feel anxious with and practice. I went on a 7-day marathon. Drink lots of water. Another one. If I totally focus on her pleasure, it helps me detach a bit from my own, so it extends the act. But most women don't actually mind if you come after 15 to 20 minutes, as long as she orgasms. Plus, you can take a break while you recover for the next round and pleasure her. So, that was it. I hope these inspire you, and maybe you want to share some of your stories if you feel okay to share them. If not, hop onto my Instagram account where I share coaching insights, and then I also invite the community to share from their experiences. I think both perspectives have value, and somebody's professional recommendations and stuff that you can sustainably or consistently work on are important, the same as other people's real life experiences, especially when it comes to people with the different wiring and endowments. So those are also valid. So I hope these help, and enjoy your intimate life, and Let me know if there are any other topics that you want me to approach, and you might want to also contribute. See ya.